All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful piece of modern Indian theater, Girish Karnad's very first play, Yayati. What he did was take this ancient myth, a story full of gods and curses, and turn it into this intense psychological drama all about human weakness. So, on the surface, the story of Yayati is a classic. You've heard this kind of tale before, right? A son makes the ultimate sacrifice for his father, the king. It seems super straightforward, a fable with a clear, honorable lesson at its heart. Yeah, not even close. Girish Karnad looked at this same myth and he saw something way darker, so much more complicated, and honestly, a lot more human, hiding just under the surface of that so-called noble sacrifice. And what's amazing is that Karnad wrote this back in 1960, when he was only 22 years old. And for his very first play, he didn't just retell the story, he basically took it apart to figure out the hidden motives that the original legend just kind of glosses over. And this, right here, is the game changer. Karnad strips away all the epic, mythological stuff. He's not interested in gods or grand destinies. No, he uses the myth as a stage to dig into the raw, messy, and, let's be real, often ugly emotions that actually drive people. The whole thing is about what's going on inside their heads. So let's get into the setting, because it really sets the tone. You can just forget about a happy, noble court. Karnad's palace is a total pressure cooker of bitterness and old grudges, and it all revolves around these two women who are locked in this awful rivalry. On one side, you've got Queen Devyani, who's just bitter and frustrated. And on the other, her slave, Sharmishta, who used to be a princess and has never, ever let anyone forget it. I mean, their conversations just drip with poison and bad blood. This clash between them creates this toxic atmosphere that just infects the entire palace. And who's caught right in the middle of all this? King Yayati himself. He is completely consumed by his desire for Sharmishta, the slave. And we're not talking about a simple affair here. It's a full-blown obsession that makes him forget his duty, his wife, and eventually his own good sense. This obsession, it's the spark that's going to light the whole thing on fire. Because in this world, of course, actions have consequences. Yayati's secret affair with Sharmishta gets found out, and the fallout is immediate and just devastating. And it comes from the one person he absolutely cannot defy, his very powerful father-in-law. So here's how it all goes down, and it happens fast. The infatuation leads to the affair. The affair leads to a curse of instant, horrifying old age. But there's a loophole. A son can take the curse for him. And right here, this is the moment. What the old myth calls a noble sacrifice actually starts as nothing more than a father's desperate, selfish plea. And this quote just perfectly shows what's really driving him. Just listen to his words. This isn't about saving his kingdom or doing his duty. It's about a deep personal terror of being alone, of becoming irrelevant, of having to face his own death. He's not asking for a sacrifice for his people. He is 100% asking for it for himself. So his son, Puru, agrees. The king gets his youth back. Story should end there. Happy ending for everyone, right? Nope. Karnad's genius is showing us that the real price of this selfish choice isn't paid by the father who gives up nothing, or even the son who agrees to it. It's paid by someone else, someone completely innocent. On the exact same day that his son Puru is supposed to get married, he takes on the curse. And that means his new bride, a young woman named Chitralekha, shows up for her wedding night, only to find that her young, handsome husband has been replaced by a withered old man. And here, in this moment of just chilling clarity, Chitralekha confronts the now young King Yayati. She just lays the horrific logic of his choice bare. She basically says, if you've taken my husband's youth, well then you have to take his place in my marriage bed too. Faced with this absolutely monstrous reality, and seeing that Yayati refuses to accept the full consequences of what he's done, Chitralekha sees no way out. She kills herself. Her death, that is the true sacrifice of the play. The innocent life that was completely destroyed by one man's selfishness. So what is Karnad trying to tell us with this incredibly tragic story? Well, the great thing is, we don't have to guess. He makes his intention crystal clear in his own notes on the play. He actually writes that he wasn't interested in the son's sacrifice at all. The entire point of his play, the whole reason he rewrote it, was to explore what happens after the choice is made. And there it is. That's the heart of the play, right from the author himself. For Karnad, this is a story about a man who refuses to be accountable for his own life, for his own choices, and the absolute destruction that refusal leaves behind. It's a story about a total failure of responsibility. In the end, what did Yayati really win? Absolutely nothing. His victory is completely hollow. He gets his youth back, sure, but it costs him his daughter-in-law's life, his son's future, and any shred of his own integrity. The very thing he wanted, a vibrant life surrounded by people, is the very thing he ends up destroying. And that leaves us with this huge question that goes way beyond this ancient myth. Karnad's play forces us to ask, what happens when those in power, when an entire generation just dodges responsibility? Who is ultimately left to pay that price?